your family have dealt with some pretty real stuff, including the loss of your sister. Pretty trying time, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. In 2000, the oldest of us all, my sister, passed away within a 2 years' time of figuring out she had brain cancer. And it was really tough for us. You know, we pretty much had to raise ourselves for those 2 years, you know, cooking our own meals and you know, even putting tubes on her nose to give her Ensure medications and things like that. It was a lot for us. It grew us up really fast, and it made us really just appreciate every day and every relationship that we have.
Now you talk about your relationship with God a lot. A lot of people during those really trying times find themselves questioning their spirituality, going,
Definitely.
why would God let this happen to us?
Definitely.
Was there moments like that for you too?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I grew up in the church, and you know, to see a girl who kind of seemed flawless to me at the time. You know, she was only 18 when she died, and she was a part of the church. She was a part of our choir. She was on the high school basketball team, high honor roll student. She was doing everything right. You know, she was a great girl. You know, she wasn't partying or doing anything crazy. And then, you know, to have her just everything taken away from her, her beauty, her hair, you know, to have it all fall out. It was hard to see, and it was hard to witness and kind of grasp and understand why God would do something like that to our family, let alone our family, but to her. But, you know, it happened, and it was just a time for me to really evaluate what I thought about religion, and I've decided that I was going to stick with my religion and continue to believe that everything happens for a reason. And now today I look at it this way, you know, you have these 3 pro athletes, and we're all happy with our lives, and then we have a sister who's in heaven watching it front row.
In fact, the loss of his sister proved there wasn't much that could push Jones away from his faith, a topic he speaks on often, shunning the criticism while offering a little piece of advice.
I believe that religion and Christianity is not for perfect people. It's for people who confesses that they have issues and problems and that they need a savior, and they need to work to be better. So that's me. You know, I'm a sinner who's trying my best to be a good Christian, and that's really the name of the game.
Because you've been so vocal about it, do you find that people are kind of waiting for you to screw up?
Yeah, definitely.
Wait a second, I saw him doing something that wasn't Christian enough.
Definitely. I think a lot of people are waiting for me to screw up. But, you know, my response to that is to not judge Christianity on me, because I will screw it up every time. You know, Christianity is really about the relationship between you and God, not really another Christian's lifestyle. I mean, ultimately, I'm just a man. I really feel as if, in some cases, you know, I'm blessed with God's favor to just not let too many things go wrong, as long as I'm trying to seek Him and do my best in life. You know, I've never gotten seriously injured, and I've never gotten any injury for that matter. You know, I've never gotten a black eye or fat lip or fatter lips, anything. And you know, that's always a touchy topic, and it could be offensive. But I believe He's looking out for me in some ways. Getting injuries and getting hit and things, these are things that have to happen. I mean, I fight for a living. And I do get hit and things like that, but I don't take too much damage, and I haven't gotten injured. And I'm just really grateful for it, because, I mean, I get in cage fights with the toughest men in the world for a living, and to not get any injuries, it's a blessing.
There's already been talk about Jon Jones being the greatest of all time when it comes to mixed martial arts. Is that something that you embrace? Is that something that you're ready for, or it still seems like it's a little ways off for you?
I believe it's a ways off, but, you know, I'm working towards making it true, and I believe that I'm on a path that I can control to making it come true. You know what I mean? It's like there's been a lot of athletes who get all this accolade, and people telling them that they're the greatest and they're the next Muhammad Ali and all this type of stuff, and then they start believing it, and they stop training, and they start treating people differently, and they become someone different than the person they were at the beginning.
You've got people telling you now you're the best in the world, but they don't tell you that, you know, once a month. They don't tell you that once every 2 months. They tell you every day. And if you're really into it, they'll tell you every hour, you're a genius. You're the greatest. You're a genius. You're the greatest. You hear that over and over, day in and day out. That can go to your head really quick. He's been exceptionally smart on how he's handled that. He's stayed humble. He's stayed calm. He's kept the same people around him, and that's very impressive.
This journey that I'm on can go as far as I take it, and only I can mess it up. And I'm very aware of, you know, guys like Mike Tyson and guys who were on such high pinnacles, and they messed it up. And I promised myself that I'm going to learn from athletes of the past and not go down the roads that they've gone down. and be an ultimate, great athlete.
Take us back to when you were a young man, and you've got these two brothers that are football players. You ended up doing wrestling, and then you become a mixed martial artist. Where did the road fork?
Going into my freshman year, I had a wrestling coach that said, John, if you dedicate your life and your energy and your determination towards wrestling, I could see you getting a free education one day. And if you want to better yourself, you need to dedicate yourself to this sport and passing your classes. I was never the strongest student, but I dedicated my life to wrestling wholeheartedly, and ended up passing these classes just so that I could wrestle. Really? Yeah.
That passionate?
Yeah, absolutely. Even in college, I kind of felt like I was going to school to pursue wrestling dreams, never to really pursue more education.
John realized his dream of wrestling in college and even won a junior college national championship while at Iowa Central. But his time there was cut short when John found out his girlfriend Jessie was pregnant with their first child. John was faced with a difficult choice: stay in school and move on to a full scholarship at Iowa State, or head back to New York to be with Jessie. John chose New York and family life, a decision that would prove to be a blessing in disguise.
Suddenly, I have a kid on the way, and suddenly my full scholarship to Iowa State was not there anymore. Suddenly, I'm a dropout, and I'm working at a bar, being a bouncer, and I'm telling people that I want to be a UFC fighter. It was kind of embarrassing in some ways. I always believed that if I did it, I could be good at it, and I give it my all. But to everyone in my hometown, as I'm training and working at a bar, I'm running into all these kids my age, and they're can I see your ID? And they're like, John, I thought you were in college. It's like, oh, well, actually, I thought I'd try the fighting thing. I'm like, oh, so you're a bouncer now, and you're gonna be a what? A cage fighter? I'm like, yeah, the UFC thing. I'm gonna try out for that, And at the time, I was just fighting the local shows, and they're like, oh, well, cool. I'm in my last year and my accounting degree or my business major. At that point in my life, I really learned how to communicate on different levels, and I started to realize that my degree doesn't define me. So it kind of matured me really fast to really develop life skills. I believed in myself wholeheartedly from day one, and I made sure that all those kids that I was looking in the eyes, tell them that I wanted to be a UFC fighter, and the ones that doubted me or looked at me funny, I made sure that I would prove them wrong one day. And now I think I'm one of the biggest prides of my hometown. So.
On April 12, 2008, Jon Jones, then 20 years old, stepped into the cage for his first professional mixed martial arts bout. He won by TKO in the first round. The very next week, he found himself back inside the cage with another knockout victory. In fact, Jon's first 6 pro fights came in just under 12 weeks. Then, he got the call that every fighter dreams of: a chance to compete in the UFC. On August 9, 2008, a mere 4 months into his professional MMA career, Jon Jones stood across the cage from Andre Gusmao at UFC 87.